BBC News, 11th of April 2024, Modi of India calls for calm along the China border. While building its aircraft carrier force to control the Indian Ocean, China is attempting to occupy India along its northern border. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stated that China and India need to resolve their border concerns immediately to strengthen bilateral ties. The 3,440 kilometers, 2,100 miles, undefined border between the two nations in the Himalayas has caused friction for many years. Mr. Modi made the statement during a rare interview with Newsweek magazine. Opposition parties have frequently charged him with remaining mute about alleged Chinese incursions near the border. Mr. Modi has not spoken at a single news conference in India throughout his nearly 10 years in office and has only sometimes granted interviews to the media. However, the Prime Minister interviewed 3 news organizations, including the American magazine Newsweek, the Assam Tribune in India, and Thanthi TV, just days before the general election in that country was scheduled to begin. In the most recent interview, Mr. Modi remained silent regarding the opposition party's claims that China had taken over significant portions of Indian territory. Instead, he discussed the significance of India's relationship with China. He stated that good relations between the two nations were crucial for the world and the entire region. I hope and trust that we will be able to restore and maintain peace and tranquility at our borders by good and constructive bilateral engagement at the diplomatic and military levels. He stated, I think we have to deal with the ongoing situation on our borders immediately to move past the anomaly in our bilateral interactions. He also discussed how China and India rival each other as manufacturing hubs. Global behemoths like Apple, Tesla, and Boeing have recently reportedly considered expanding their sourcing from India or building manufacturing facilities there. Mr. Modi stated that companies wishing to diversify their supply chains would naturally turn to India, a democratic nation and a significant force behind the world economy's expansion. Previously, Mr. Modi and Amit Shah, the Home Minister, denied that China had taken any land in India. However, the main opposition Congress party in India claims that every time China gives a clean sheet to its neighbor, the government makes it more difficult for India to deal with its illegal encroachments. When Indian and Chinese troops engaged in combat at the border close to the Tawang region of the eastern Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh in 2020, tensions between the two nations grew. The Galwan Valley War was the first deadly conflict between the two groups since 1975 and was fought with sticks and clubs rather than guns. At least 20 Indian and 4 Chinese soldiers were killed in the fighting. Since then, authorities from both sides have been working on a de-escalation strategy, but several minor skirmishes have involved troops. The interview with Mr. Modi for Newsweek was released on Wednesday, over a week before the scheduled start of the Indian general election. Opinion polls and strategists have projected that Mr. Modi will serve a 3rd consecutive term. According to the magazine, there was a written interview and then a 90-minute conversation with Mr. Modi at his official residence. Mr. Modi spoke on a variety of subjects, including claims that his administration discriminates against minorities. Rights groups claim that under Mr. Modi's leadership, they have frequently been the target of violence and discrimination and have been made to live as second-class citizens. The BJP disputes these claims. There have been several reports in India during the last 10 years of right-wing groups using violence against Muslims. These are usual tropes of some people who don't bother to meet people outside their bubbles, he said, adding that minorities in India were happy thriving regardless of their religious affiliation. He also addressed claims that his government was curtailing press liberties. A small percentage of people, both in India and the West, feel as though they no longer have any connection to the people of India or their hopes and feelings. Additionally, these individuals frequently reside in their echo chambers of parallel universes. They confuse those who disagree with them with those who make shaky claims about reducing media freedom. Federal officials have conducted raids on several media outlets, including the BBC, throughout the last 2 years. Reporters Without Borders, a media watchdog, ranked India 161st out of 180 nations in their World Press Freedom Index last year. Several opposition politicians have also been detained or questioned about allegations of corruption that they refute.